Let's talk.
Good afternoon and welcome to Western Reiki Association Presents with our special guest, William Lee Rand, Senior Licensed Reiki Master Teacher, President of the International Center for Reiki Training, the Center for Reiki Research, and the Reiki Membership Association, speaking on Holy Fire Reiki, the latest upgrade to Holy Fire 3 Reiki, and the ICRT's Licensed Reiki Master Teacher Program. Guest appearance from members of ICRT's Licensed Reiki Master Program, Karen Harrison, Senior LRMT of Whole Life Center in Kansas City, Missouri, Kathy Milanowski, LRMT at Carriage House Healing Arts and Wellness in Deerfield, Wisconsin, Joan Mate, LRMT of Rising Light Reiki in Waikoloa, Hawaii and Charlottesville, Virginia, Jill Teal, student LRMT of the Minnesota Reiki Center for Healing and Training in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Karen Caig, student LRMT of Arkansas Reiki Institute in Bentonville, Arkansas, and Pam Allen LeBlanc, student LRMT of Hidden Brook Farm in Durham Bridge, New Brunswick, Canada. Now we have a link here on this post for William's website, reiki.org, Intro to Holy Fire 3. All the information is right there, including a link for the upgrade webinar to Holy Fire 3 that'll be happening on January 7th. With that, let me pass it over to you, William.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Stephen, for inviting us. This is an amazing experience to be here. We're here on Maui at the center in Hana, and got a wonderful view. And we've been here. We're going to be here for a week, so it's wonderful for us to do this presentation. So so concerning Holy Fire 3, I'll just, if you want me to, I will go ahead with a history on that.
Yes.
So when I first became involved with Reiki, which actually was on the Big Island, which we can see often over there to our right, I took in a rebirthing training that was a week long. Leonard Orr was presenting that. He's the founder of Father of Rebirthing. And in that program, he allowed other people to speak to the group about their specialty. And the woman, talked about Reiki. I was quite interested. There was enough time then for her to actually have a Reiki class because, I wanted to personally actually learn from experience. And I think it was fortunate then that she had that time. So I took my first level Reiki training there. There's four attunements rather. And she was able to do the whole class, and it was quite amazing. And after that, I'd never experienced energy quite as strong as that before. I studied with a kahuna and learned healing from him, and also with the Rosicrucians. But then the strength of that Reiki energy was much greater. And in addition, the attunement was amazing that you could learn it so quickly just through an attunement rather than studying for years and years to be a healer. You became a healer right away. And so after that training, I was just kind of sitting there staring out into space, and the energy came to me and said, this energy can be developed. And I thought, So the energy told me that even though at that time the idea was basically you get what you get, and Reiki wasn't really going to be developed, but the energy told me it could be developed. So I thought, yes, that makes a lot of sense. So I was always on the lookout for ways to strengthen my Reiki energy through meditation and just prayers and so forth, and connecting more directly to the source. But then along came Karuna Reiki in 93, 94, 95. So that was an upgrade and a much stronger form of Reiki. And then I had always made it a point to follow the directions of what the kahuna had told me. And he said that while it's great for a person to be on their own, independent and so forth, it's really good for them, for you, anyone, to actually have a partner or someone that you see and work with who can see your aura and can help you heal and grow. So I had made it a point to do that. And I had was working with someone, her name was Janice Jones, and she had a very strong connection, first of all, with the archangels, and then with Jesus, God, Holy Spirit. And that wasn't in any religious sense. It was purely Jesus as a spiritual master. And so I began working with her, and Jesus began increasing the strength of my Reiki. And then one day, it was January in 2014, then he said he had a very special upgrade for me, that I would have to release some of the other Reiki energies I had. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And then he gave me the upgrade. And in the next day, there was actually a class which I taught. And the students all agreed the energy was even stronger, and they were very happy that that was taking place. And at first, we didn't have the words holy fire associated with it. But after a couple of weeks, then Jesus came in and said, well, the name of this Reiki is called Holy Fire Reiki. So I was amazed because, of course, that's mentioned in the Bible. And it's been an energy that's been around for thousands of years. And I'm always wanting to get specific facts. So I said, well, where did this come from? And Jesus said, well, it came from God, and then God gave it to the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit is the one that actually implements the holy fire. But then Jesus is its main teacher. And again, I emphasize as a spiritual master. And so I was quite pleased with that. It seemed like a very authentic source. And so we had holy fire the beginning. We didn't call it one because it was just holy fire at that time. And with that, we did regular hands-on attunements for 1 and 2 in ART. And then the master level, we did a non-touching type of attunement, which we later began calling an ignition. Because we learned that the actual holy fire, rather than just being a symbol, is an actual flame, a spiritual flame. And that with the master level, then the flame is ignited below the navel and then above the head, and then the flame above the head would come down into the heart and ignite another flame in the heart and then go back up for 3 flames. And so we call it ignitions because of the ignition of the holy fire flame. And so that was the first iteration of holy fire. And then in December of 2015, I was just wondering about the fact, we were told that the ignitions are more powerful for one of the reasons is simply that if the teacher is not physically involved in the transmission of the energy, it can be more powerful because as it flows through the teacher, the vibration is lowered. And so with the ignitions, there's no interaction between the teacher and the student physically, and it comes through a higher part of the teacher's auric field rather than going through the physical body. And so it was more powerful. So I thought, well, what about 1 and 2 in the ART? Because we were still doing attunements. And so at that point in a session with Janice Jones, Jesus said, well, yes, that's available, and now you're ready. And he had apparently been working with my field to build it to the point where we could do the ignition-like processes for 1 and 2 in ART. And he said, and we're going to call these a little bit different. We're going to call them placements because the flame is not actually ignited in the person in 1 and 2 in ART, but they do receive the holy fire energy to use for their 1 and 2 in ART. So got that in December 2015. And then, I had taught in Japan at Kurama, where Sui had actually got his the Reiki energy, and Mount Kurama there. And so there was a village and there was an inn, and we were able to teach classes from that inn. So I was going to be heading out there actually September of this year. Prior to going, I just got something coming from Jesus saying, just not actually saying, but showing me there was going to be a very special energy out there that was going to take place. So went out there and began to teach. I was working with Colleen Benelli. Janice Jones, unfortunately, had passed on, and Colleen was one of her students, has a tremendous background in shamanism, and she began taking up where Janice had left off in terms of working directly with Jesus. So I had a session with her, and she said, well, Jesus has a new energy for you to use. And in the holy fire, there was something called a pre-ignition. And that was done prior to doing the ignitions, to prepare the person for the ignition experience. But I was told that instead of doing the pre-ignition, I was to do a regular ignition. And that first ignition would do everything that the pre-ignition did, plus it would be a full ignition. So I began to do that with students there in Kurama. and that was took place, began around the 21st of September of this year, 2018. And when I was doing that, I did the beginning part. Simply, I would guide the first part, which only lasts about 5 or 6 minutes, and then stop talking, and then the energy comes in directly to each person. So during that time, what happened for me is I saw within myself there was a ball of light, and then coming from that ball of light, there was a like a tube coming up, and there were what looked like stars coming up through that tube, and it was like they had the full power of actual stars, and I thought it was just awesome. And then as I looked into the ball of white light, it was saying, "This is the authentic self," and it was pointing out that I had energies around me that we now call the culturally created self, that were actually preventing me from having a more thorough connection to the authentic self. And so it began to release those, and then it invited me to actually enter into that ball of light. So I sort of just went down into the ball of light, and at first there was pain, and the light said, well, that's because you're holding on to the culturally created self. So I let go, the pain went away, and I found that it was the culturally created self was releasing in a very powerful way, and I gained a very strong connection to the authentic self. And when I came out of that, then I found I could actually see the authentic selves in other people. And also I could see that in my students, actually there were still parts of their culturally created self that looked like layers of dark or hard energy around their authentic selves. And then in the next session, I was told that I would be able to go a much higher level where the energy would come through to actually burn up and release the culturally created selves in the students. So I did that, and then we did the remaining ignitions. We had the good fortune of being able to do them on Mount Kurama. Now, one thing that happened on Kurama is that a typhoon came through and knocked down a lot of the trees, and we didn't really have access to the mountain. But a pretty amazing thing happened that while we were standing there, the actual monk that was in charge of the whole mountain came down. He had a t-shirt, he had like a sweatshirt with just wood chips on it and stuff. And anyway, they started talking, and then as, now I don't speak Japanese, but Lena was there, she speaks Japanese, and she was part of our group, and they began talking. Well, then while they're talking, then this energy came down around us, and it was the holy fire. And it was like this holy energy around us. And there was within it the disappointment that we had of not being able to go on Mount Kurama. That became smaller and smaller. And then what happened then was that the monk gave us permission to use part of the mountain, which was the first temple. And so we were able then to do the remaining ignitions in the first temple on the mountain, and then go even higher on the mountain and do the remaining ignitions there. So that was, I consider that to be a miracle that we had permission to do that, because otherwise we would have been prevented from even going on the mountain. So that was the beginning. And then I went from there to Taiwan, taught there. And so far I've taught 8 Holy Fire 3 classes so far. So now we're out here, and these are our licensed teachers. And we yesterday we did an ignition. We're going to be doing a few more ignitions for them. They already were, they already did get the upgrade to Holy Fire 3, but we're doing some sort of improvements and refinements on the energy. So that's some of the background on the Holy Fire, and all the way up to Holy Fire 3.
Beautiful. Well, let me ask a question there. Now, I read the article that you've published on Reiki.org called Introduction to Holy Fire 3 Reiki. And in there, you wrote that it's important to keep in mind that the Holy Fire Reiki system is not something you designed, but something that came to you. And you did mention about these healing sessions. But you mentioned Jesus, but that he's also part of a group called the Brothers and Sisters of Light. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, this is an amazing development too. I came into contact with them earlier this year, And I was after a session with Colleen Bonelli, I was sitting there and I felt Jesus present, and I felt, well, there's something else here. There's another energy, not just Jesus. And then I asked, well, who are you? And they said, we're the brothers and sisters. Oh boy, this is kind of emotional. But brothers and sisters of the light. And then through sessions with Colleen Bonelli, we learned that they actually are the sum total of all illumined beings who have had contact with the earth. And they include all of the enlightened beings that have created all of the different religions and spiritual paths of the earth, that on a certain level, they have all come together and joined and merged as one. And that they were in the formless world. And so to help those starting the Holy Fire 3, they came out of the formless world, took on form, and then came down further, took on gender, and so that they could merge with our energies more easily. So they became male and female both, and so they could easily identify with, and the people of the earth could identify with them with the gender. But they still have, it's like a continuum, so their consciousness still is in the formless and in the formed world and in the gender-based expression as well, so simultaneously. So it's through them that this wonderful Holy Fire 3 energy has been brought to us.
That's beautiful, and there's so many so much wonderful information in this article that you wrote, and a lot that's really resonated with me. Now, I know you touched on, the authentic self and the culturally created self, but could we have you and maybe some of the ladies talk about that, the contrast between the two, and then how a Holy Fire 3 kind of resolves that situation?
Yeah. There's a third part too I didn't mention. That's called it's the dormant, unhealed parts. Now, as an example, as we develop as people, we're babies, and then we're children, and then we become teenagers, and then become adults. As we go through those stages of development, there are parts of our personality that we decide are immature for us now. We want to go to the next level. And so what happens, we can see that especially teenage to adult, that, young teenagers, of course, very silly sometimes, and but then they want to become adults, so they take their silliness and their playfulness and they push it into the background, and then they stop paying attention to it completely. But it doesn't go away, it becomes dormant. And so that actually is also covering up the authentic self. So the parts of ourselves that our culture says are not acceptable become dormant as we become culturally acceptable people. And so the dormant, unresolved parts, the parts that still need to be healed, are there as well. So there's culturally created self that we accept as, is acceptable by society, and there's the parts that society does not accept, and they become dormant. So there's that part as well. So it's the Holy Fire energy has the ability to also locate and release the dormant parts. So because they're dormant, we aren't consciously aware they're present, and so it's hard for us to direct healing energy to them. But the Holy Fire energy has a refined consciousness to the point where it knows about those dormant, unhealed parts and can actually send healing energy to them. So does anyone else have comments about that?
Most recently, I had an experience with, I felt a huge shift with the Holy Fire 3 ignition, and the most recent experience I had concerning my authentic self and my culturally created self was, I was getting ready to come here, and I was packing and I was listening to music, and there's a particular song that used to make me cry over my failed connection with my father. Deep wounds that, of course, I knew was there, but what I didn't know was that I was halfway through the song and singing along with it, and I had no pain at all. And I wasn't even aware of that healing, but that went to a really deep, deep part of me, something that I had covered, with the culturally created, like, I don't care, and I'm strong, and I don't need you, and of course, but then, inside it would hurt. But anyway, that's just one example of many that I've had since the Holy Fire 3 ignition, of being super grounded. If you know me at all, my friends are like, because I'm pretty spastic, I'm really calm, and I feel so much stronger. And I know that it's continuing to heal me even now as I'm speaking. I mean, every day, some other little part, it's like some other little thing releases, and I'm growing stronger. How about you, Dennis?
Yeah, we're using a talking stick.
We're using a talking stick.
Palo Santo. What I've noticed in working with clients is my spiritual vision center has opened up so much more with Holy Fire Reiki than with the prior form of Reiki that I was practicing, the Sui Tibetan. And I've been able to see things. So as I'm working with clients, many times I'll see layers of things covering them that looks like a shaggy blanket or something. And the Holy Fire energy just gently melts it away or lifts it off. It's different for each person, revealing their strengths, their spiritual gifts, the light of their being, is now shining through. And people are saying that they feel so much stronger, and they look in the mirror and go, oh, there I am. That's what I heard from one person. I thought, oh, that is so cool.
Beautiful.
My experience with people, I've been doing the experiences once a week to the public for people that are Reiki and non-Reiki. And I'm getting a lot of people going toward their authentic selves. So they're finding themselves, they're finding their light, and having experience with that light. And some people feel like it's like a layer cracking. They feel very like it's like a cracking egg. They'll feel like that over their cells or something like that. Yeah. And it's been a really beautiful process each week when I do it. And people really like it.
Beautiful.
My experience has been that from the moment I got the upgrade, those dormant parts of myself that needed healing started healing right away. And I became aware of patterns and things within that, as Wayne said, have been buried and hidden. So that's been super helpful. And as Karen said, it continues from moment to moment, day to day. You can actually feel the process working, helping you to heal. I feel much lighter. I feel stronger, happier. Life is smoothing out. And with my clients and students, clients have been having spontaneous healings that there is no other explanation. As an example, one person came in for emotional healing and said they walked out with brand new knees. I didn't even know they had a knee problem because they didn't mention it. Also, people have been able to heal their entire timelines to the origin of whatever their issue is, and heal karma and ancestral issues. I mean, it's just the applications of this energy are totally unlimited, and you really don't even know what's going to happen, but it's always something amazingly healing. It's just, I can't say enough about it. And with my students, I allow my students to review who's taken classes previously. And my master reviewing student said, wow, the Holy Fire 3 is so much more powerful, so different. They feel the healings occur faster, and they feel like they understand the material more clearly and have a deeper understanding of not just the Holy Fire, but of Reiki in general. So I just can't say enough about how amazing it's been. And thank you to William and all of these beings who have brought it to us, because it's really helping to heal the world. Yes.
I've noticed a tremendous shift for me. About a week before William gave us the ignition, I started having dreams coming in. And when I was younger, I used to have a lot of more prophetic dreams. And so I knew the energy was starting to show me what was going to happen. And then when I was teaching classes, like in my Karuna class that I taught, I actually received healings in the ignitions from my dormant self. And that's not something that had ever happened before. I would often do the ignitions, the Holy Fire would do the ignitions, and I would be there, but just spontaneously stuff would be healing. And before we knew about the Brothers and Sisters of the Light, the students were saying, who are all these people? Are those your people? Or whose people are these people? And then we had a meeting, and they were like, oh, the Brothers and Sisters of the Light. And I messaged my students, and I'm like, those are the Brothers and Sisters of the Light. And it was so amazing, because so many people within the classes, like the connection that we had, like I had a class and like everyone had a connection to Lyme's disease, and people were from different remote places, like in different states. And there was just this connection, like everybody was supposed to be there. And I've been having experiences where people just showing up, just as I'm talking about the history of Reiki, and they're introducing themselves, they're crying, like healing's going on, and they're like, what's happening to me? You know, just amazing, amazing experiences. And people are saying, like, this is life-changing, coming in saying, I'm taking a Reiki class, and leaving and going, Jill, this is life-changing. This is amazing. I can't believe this. And in the sessions, similar to, so taking the classes, you can heal that way. But also in the sessions, the same stuff is happening with the clients. Another kind of frequency that I've noticed is this icy hot cold feeling, that people are feeling like another level of hot and cold together, and seeing similar colors. And so when we would do experiences and ignition in placements before, everyone would kind of have their own experience with that. But what I've noticed is that I'm hearing similar things coming up for people, similar colors, light, like eyes flickering, this cold and hot. Just there's a lot of stuff that's like, oh, okay, you're feeling that too. Or seeing or feeling the Brothers and Sisters of the Light, and feeling, if they don't necessarily have a dormant part of themselves heal, just feeling connected to the world and the religion and the ancestors, and just feeling this state of peace and beauty, and just feeling wonderful and calm, and not like, oh, I couldn't shut my mind off during this session. I was able to just get into it, and the sessions are so deep that you don't want to come back. They're that amazing. It's truly wonderful. And, you know, personally, I've been working on myself for a really long time, and I've healed so much in, you know, this past 6 weeks. It's just coming up, and I feel so much better, and it's really, really wonderful.
Beautiful.
What they said mostly, but I've noticed part of becoming the authentic self sometimes involves incredible physical healing, and just healing of whatever you need healed. I had one student who had the confidence to begin a practice, who she was reviewing a class, but and she's done all the classes all the way up through, and finally has the confidence to come out and teach. But I also had another student who just had complete spontaneous healing from fibromyalgia during the classes, and that was incredible. And it just, for every student, incredible things seemed to be happening. But what I do want to add is that I have had an opportunity to share this energy with my animals as well. And the animals are kind of saying, well, finally, it's about time. And they seem to be really happy that we're getting to this place. I think a lot of our animals are with us for our spiritual enlightenment, and they wish that for us. They're trying to help us with it. And they do seem awfully pleased with this energy. So thank you, William. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for sharing there. Now, William, did you talk about the unity aspect? That was kind of the first part that you talked about, unity, joining people together. Holy fire contains the fire of unity. Could you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, in fact, there's unity. There's a number of other really interesting qualities too. But yeah, with the idea of unity, when I had my experience in Kurama, Japan, I noticed that because I could see my authentic self and I could see the authentic selves in everyone, then I realized much more strongly, we're all one. We all have authentic self. We all are authentic selves. And so it tends to cut right through any of the cultural differences that people have observed, and goes right to the fact that the most important thing is that we all have these authentic selves. And so it does create that unity. And the fact that the brothers and sisters of the light are the illumined beings that started every religion and spiritual path that is here on earth. And so it means that then we can very easily honor going into any type of church or synagogue or temple and feel that we have a connection to the people of that religion or spiritual path. So it does definitely create a oneness that has always been there, and it just allows us to be able to see that very clearly.
Beautiful.
Let me go on in that. There's another connection there. Quite a while ago in 96, 97, I put what I call a world peace crystal grid at the North Pole, and I put one at the South Pole. There's one in Jerusalem, there's one here on Maui, and one in Michigan. And the phrase that is placed on the peace grid says, "May the followers of all religions and spiritual paths work together to create peace among all people on earth." And so it's an extension of that this is the actual energy that will do it. And, my feeling was at that time that when all the religions can work together and spiritual paths, that's when peace will come to the earth. And so now we have the energy of holy fire that will actually manifest that.
Now, and you have a monthly meditation for the peace grids, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. It's the middle Wednesday of the month. It's usually sometime we're on the 13th and 17th of the month, and we send out a notification on that. Beautiful,
beautiful. Now, one of the things that was really, really interesting for me in the article that you wrote, William, is kind of the distinction, the technical difference between Holy Fire 2 and 3, where you have the flames, and then with Holy Fire 3, there's an added component. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I'll expand on that as well. One of the things that we noticed right away is that the energy, rather than having the three flames, it goes throughout the entire physical body. And that it's not an energy that's way up on some high spiritual plane that you have to reach up to get to, but the energy actually is coming right down to the material world. And so, I wanted to know what that looks like. And so what I saw was small little flames throughout my entire body. So it's actually permeating our entire physical existence. And so it's not an energy, like I said, it's far off. It's an energy that's coming right down and impregnating itself right into the material world. So it's bringing these energies into the material world so that our spiritual life isn't something that we have to escape from the earth to experience, but it's right here in the world. And so we see that our place is here on Earth rather than trying to leave and go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you talk about the shaft of light in Holy Fire 3 that joins the 3 flames together that those with Holy Fire 2 have.
That's right. And then that expanded then and went throughout the entire body, so that there's miniature flames throughout every part of the body now. Yeah. Okay. So it connected the flame first, and then they all went out throughout the whole body.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Shall we get into the heavens? Because now in Holy Fire 2, people have learned about the third heaven. It's explained very well in the ICRT manuals that you've published. But now there's more heavens to talk about.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, so as an example, first heaven is the material world, and then the second heaven is the non-material world, where the beings there generally still have egos. And then there's the third heaven. In the third heaven, there's the ego is either healed or not functioning in the way it had been in the second heaven, and there's only love. And so it's quite interesting that we've learned too that beyond the third heaven and beyond, forgiveness isn't there because it's not needed. In other words, it's only love, that people are motivated and guided only by love, and because of that, there's never a need to forgive. So it's quite interesting. And then beyond that, there's the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh heaven. So what happens in the fourth heaven is there's the ability to acknowledge and be aware of the parts of ourselves that are binding us to the ego, and that we have the ability to release that. And then in the fifth heaven, we're able to actually release ourselves from all of the things that the ego has created, and the ego is actually healed. And so, and then it actually releases us from the dormant self. And then the sixth and seventh heaven, the idea of the ego being completely healed is more completely fulfilled. So in a lot of spiritual paths, we're told, well, the ego is the enemy, the ego is bad, wrong, we have to rise above it or kill it or release it or something. But in this spiritual path, the ego can be healed. And so it's the energies of these higher heavens, especially the seventh, where the ego is completely healed. And so because of that, the ego can fulfill its actual purpose. So the ego does have a purpose. The healed ego grounds higher dimensional consciousness in the earth. So the healed ego is actually there to allow us to be emissaries of these higher levels of consciousness while we're present here on the earth plane. So the seventh heaven is the main level where that takes place. But then there's the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th heavens. So quite a few. So we're just starting to become aware of them. And I had some experiences with the 12th heaven. And the 12th heaven is where our individual consciousness is created. So we are unique individual beings. And that takes place on the 12th heaven, where that is formed. And so when in the 12th heaven, we're able to merge our divine self with our ego self. And so that we can become fully conscious of our divinity and our expression as divine beings. So like I say, we're just learning about that, but that's the 12th heaven. And the other heavens are like, they're there to assist us in getting prepared to enter the 12th heaven while we're here in the material world.
Beautiful. Now, Karen, Karen Harrison, let me ask you this question. Now, this such amazing upgrade between Holy Fire 2 and Holy Fire 3, as heading up or being one of the main folks for the LRMT program, for the Licensed Reiki Master Teacher program. What sort of kind of logistic sort of things or informational sort of things came out? Because you've got all these folks in the program and starting out in the program, and now Holy Fire 3. How did that get integrated into the program?
Oh, okay, good question. Well, so when Colleen Benelli and I took over as co-directors of the Licensed Reiki Master Teacher Training Program, we looked over the wonderful manual that Laurel Shantigaya had created, and we just tweaked it a little bit. And we decided with Team Reiki, which is the executive team that helps to conduct the business of the International Center for Reiki Training, that logistically it would make most sense if everyone was on the same level of Holy Fire. Mm-hmm. So everyone that has entered the student teacher program in the last couple of years has agreed that they will keep up with the upgrades and the mentors also, so that we're all on the same level of the Holy Fire Reiki. Is that kind of the question you're asking?
Yeah. That was it. So yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. So should we talk about, now William, did you mention about the 4 ignitions and the pre-ignition? You did talk a little bit about that. But let's talk about this upgrade, the upgrade to Holy Fire 3. Now you've got a webinar posted on your website that's coming up on January 7th. Who qualifies? Who can take that upgrade webinar, which is only $35? Who qualifies for that, and what can they expect from that experience?
Yeah, the upgrade webinar is for everybody. Well, initially we were thinking it would be for Holy Fire 2 to go to Holy Fire 3, but now we're told that Jesus has strengthened the energies, so people can go right from, if they just have Holy Fire that you would call Holy Fire 1, they can go from Holy Fire 1 to Holy Fire 3 by taking that webinar. So the webinar is for everybody with Holy Fire, whether it's the beginning level, level 2, even level 3 can take it again. And so it's for everyone that has Holy Fire. They can upgrade right to Holy Fire 3 during that webinar.
Beautiful.
At the master.
Yeah, at the master level. And the beauty of that is, for the individuals that do it, but then when you teach, you're going to be teaching at the Holy Fire 3 level, so your students will be receiving the Holy Fire 3 energy. So it's valuable for the teacher's own experience, but also then for their students, that they'll be receiving all the benefits of Holy Fire 3.
Beautiful. Yeah, this is, it's so amazing, and so much, I have so much to share, but that's not my platform. So, but what I want to ask, because, becoming a Reiki master teacher is a pretty big responsibility, especially if you're out there teaching. And there are those, and we have 6 beautiful examples here out there that yearn for the highest level of the teaching profession in Reiki, which you've put together there, William, with the International Center for Reiki Training. So can you talk about the LRMT program? And I'd like to hear from everybody, because everybody's kind of in a different place. We have 3 student LRMTs, Karen, co-director, senior licensed Reiki master teacher, and other LRMTs. So please chime in about that.
Yeah, I'll give a little history on it. So I started teaching in '89, March of '89. And then after a while, what happened was I had so many students, I had more than I could teach myself. And I thought, well, I started, telling them to go to other teachers. And then I realized that, well, maybe what I could do is create a special teacher training program so that people could have the same type of quality, use the same manuals I'm using and the same class outlines and the same level of energy. And so then I started what I call it the certification program at first. And a gentleman up in Big Rapids, Michigan was the first one. Mark Whitbeck was our first certified teacher. And then Laurel Shanti Gaya found out about it, and she flew up from Florida and to get into the program. And then soon after that, she said that she had a lot of organizational skill and she would like to work with me to develop the program. So then from there, I said, sure, yeah, I need all the help I can get. So she's an excellent organizer and very spiritual, very tuned in psychically. And so I was very happy to have her helping me with the program. And so she set it up, and then she got together with Michael, and they got married. And so together they're in charge of the program. They're out in Sedona. And so maybe some of the others want to talk about what their experience is like being in the program.
Hi. I started about a year ago, a little over a year and a week ago with the program. And it has been wonderful to be guided. And my mentor is Carolyn Musel, and she's in New York, and Buffalo, New York, and she's just wonderful. You get the support, you get the education, you get like twice a year like every other month or something, we get like different kind of Zoom meetings, and just always constantly educating. Always the conscious, just continuous business sense of what we need. If somebody, like, I'm not the greatest writer, so you start forming this community of Reiki family. And you she's an English teacher, so it's kind of like she's gonna help me out with my dyslexia, with the spelling. I mean, it's just a great community. You start forming and developing and connecting, and it's just been a wonderful process. I graduated in May for Reiki 1 and Reiki 2, and I just graduated about a week ago with the Art Master program. So I'm very, 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 very and what does that mean? It's just I graduated as LMRT in that area. So I have one more to go, it's Kurama, and it's just been an enlightening, great experience for me. And the education and the upkeep is just phenomenal.
Beautiful.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
So I graduated from level 1 and 2 at the end of September. And I entered into the program because I felt that the International Center for Reiki Training offered the best possible training track for Reiki teachers. And as Kathy said, there's an enormous amount of support, there's an enormous amount of information and material, support from our mentor teachers. My mentor is Robin First, who I love and adore. She's absolutely fabulous. And I feel that being in the program has really stretched my parameters in ways that I never would have without it. I'm a better teacher, I'm a better business person, and most importantly, I'm a better person in really every way. It just, I can't say enough about the program. It's not for everyone, but if you want to be the best Reiki teacher you can possibly be, I would highly recommend it to anyone who's intending to teach Reiki as a profession.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Beautiful.
I started about a year ago in the program. I'm going to be doing my co-teach next month. So I live in Minnesota, and my mentor is Colleen Benelli. So she'll be flying out. It's really wonderful. We're excited to have her come to Minneapolis. I absolutely love the program. It's something that when I started my Reiki journey 16 years ago that I was aware of and have, looked up to Karen and William for many, many years. And it was a dream of mine, and feel blessed to have manifested and to be part of such a great community. And the Soul Tribe, like, just to find other people that are like me, and just to, so many people, like, you know, a lot of us have just met for the first time here. Some of us have met at Reiki retreats, but I feel like I've known these people for many lifetimes. Mm-hmm. They're just wonderful, wonderful people. And I feel like I can be my authentic self around them because they understand me and they're like me, and we share the same ideas and goals and dreams. And, you know, really my goal in entering the program is just to spread more Reiki to the world. And the more that I can, you know, spread that light to other people, the more Reiki can be spread to other people. And part of being in this program is to empower your students and to become teachers so they can spread Reiki too. And it's really important for me to be able to help them to also in their businesses, and so they can take from other licensed teachers and they can, you know, spread Reiki. And it's been really rewarding seeing some of my own students teaching, and then having Reiki Circle and Reiki Shares, and then them bringing their students to my Reiki Shares, and just developing a community of Reiki people, and just getting more Reiki out there and healing more people through Reiki, because the spiritual guidance of Reiki is one of the biggest things that has helped me in my life to become my authentic self. It's led me to every good choice that I've made in my life. And I'm very thankful for the International Center for Reiki Training, for William, for all of you here, and for everybody that's watching. And if you're interested in taking Reiki, I highly suggest it. If you're feeling that you've been thinking about wanting to take a Reiki class, or it's been calling to you, that's Reiki. That it's communicating to you, and it's time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important, and we'll get right to you, Pam. I think it's important to understand, and I know, you know, there's a lot to the licensed Reiki Master Teacher program. You know, how you qualify, how you apply, what's required of you, what you need to do, and so we don't have time to go into all of that. There is a document on Reiki.org for the licensed Reiki Master Teacher program. That explains, you know, explains all of these things. But one of the questions that I had about that is, like, for example, Pam, what made you decide to apply for this program?
That's such a great question. Thank you. It's kind of funny because I'm probably the most reluctant one who I love learning from William, but there's a fair bit of paperwork and time involved, and I thought, well, I don't really think I have that. And I was really happy. I've been teaching since 2011. I was really happy with the practice as it was, but I was taking a class from William in Boston, and I got a little tap on the shoulder, and my goal has always been to share Reiki with animals, and that's something that they really love and something that we do. And the little tap on the shoulder said, when William was explaining about the Licensed Master Teacher program, that I had to apply. And I said, really? Are you kidding me? I don't really think I want to do that. And I couldn't see the advantages at that time, but I've learned to listen to my guidance. And I'm so glad that I did, because the advantages have just blown me away. I mean, for one thing, I'm in Maui right now with this wonderful group of people. But beyond that, you know, I've had the opportunity to work with Colleen Benelli, and like William and like these other wonderful people, just talking to them every time, I learn something every time, and they cause me to look at things differently, and that support that's there. And so it's wonderful. And I think I'm the first Canadian centered licensed teacher. So this is kind of fun. So I'm looking forward to teaching with Colleen in May in Eastern Canada, and yeah, it's just been an absolutely wonderful thing. So thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful. Now, I think it's also important to note one of the qualifications to enter in the program is to be a professional member of the Reiki Membership Association. So if someone's maybe considering or has been considering taking Reiki training, particularly, in my opinion, if they're of the type of, the teacher type or even the scientific engineering type that, wants the most information that they can bring in about that, they may want to consider just right off the bat finding a licensed Reiki master teacher with the ICRT to take that class, if possible, because they may end up taking a class with someone else, and that may be beautiful and wonderful, and they decide to do the LMRT program. They're going to have to take that class from a licensed Reiki master teacher, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to jump. I'm also new to the program. I just started this year, and I taught college English for 30 years, and I've been practicing Reiki since 2013 and teaching Reiki since 2012, and then teaching since 2013.
Speak up, please.
But, I'm sorry. I said I've been teaching Reiki since 2013 and practicing since 2012, and I've taught most of my life. But what I lacked was the guidance in Reiki and business. I mean, the guidance in what's the best way to teach Reiki? What's the best way to attract students? Because like Jill said, the purpose our purpose is to help spread Reiki through the world. And if I'm lacking in those skills, and I really was lacking in the business skills, I'm all about the healing, but if I can't attract the students, to help spread the healing, then that's not beneficial. And the support and the education, even though the paperwork to get into the program is substantial. And a lot of people look at it and say, like, oh, that's intimidating. It's like, well, look at the application process for a master program. For anything that is worth doing is not going to be easy. So if anybody's considering the licensed teacher program, it's just so phenomenal to have the support and the guidance. No matter how much experience you have, it's just the support, because it's new ground. And each person's practice is a little different. And I've learned so much from the other licensed teachers. And from my mentor is Julie Russell in California, and I've learned a lot from her. I've learned a lot from Karen. And so just having that constant support it's worth it. Oh, yes, John's
Yeah, I want to.
Oh, Jen wants to say something.
I just wanted to say one more thing. When I entered into the program, I imagined that I wouldn't be part of the LRMT group and community until I graduated from the entire program, which will be taking me probably a little more than 3 years. But what actually happened is that as soon as you are accepted, you are embraced by the whole LRMT community and brought into this family, and it really feels like a family. We just love each other. These people are of the highest integrity of any people I've ever known, and also the most highly skilled Reiki teachers that I've ever met. And so that love and that sense of being part of this group right away was huge for me. I felt a little intimidated in the beginning, actually, because it's a lot to live up to, and everybody made me feel like, yeah, you're part of this, you can do this. And so that's just huge. And there's only about 30 of us in the world or so. So it's not a big group, and you just really do feel like you're a family. And when we meet at the annual retreats, most of us are there, and you get to actually see your friends and your family there. It's just, that is a benefit that I really didn't know about or anticipate.
Beautiful. Now that brings up a question, so I'm glad you got the baton there, Karen Harrison. I don't imagine that. I know there's qualifications to qualify and need to be accepted in the program, but really the program's really growing. I mean, how much kind of capacity do you really have? Do you have kind of a limited number of spots available?
That is exactly what I wanted to talk about. Thank you. Well, I mean, our goal is to have a Reiki practitioner in every home in the world. So, well, we've just recruited another mentor teacher, and as the student teachers graduate and become eligible to be mentor teachers, we are currently training more mentor teachers. And our capacity is growing thanks to technology, like our video communication, where we can train more than one student teacher at a time. So we do have openings for a few more student teachers at this time, and we do want to grow the program some more. We are about attracting and developing world-class Reiki teachers. So if that sounds appealing to you, we would love to have you come join us. And the amount of things that we are learning and sharing and growing with each other is really amazing. We have such a talented group of student teachers here. I am just so proud of them and their abilities. Jill here and her team got together a Facebook group or page for the International Center for Reiki Training, as well as an Instagram thing. So, each of us has different skills and abilities. And when we combine our group talents and things, we cover all the areas that it takes to have a successful Reiki practice, like business organization and comprehension, marketing skills and social media skills, our email marketing, our teacher skills, our practitioner skills, our success consciousness, which involves healing of issues that inevitably come up through the program. We're all about healing ourselves as we go out there and teach others. So our combined force is immense with all of our skills, and we have group meetings regularly, quarterly, LRMT meetings for everyone, quarterly business coaching meetings, and we're always bubbling up new ideas to attempt to stay on the cutting edge of technology. And hey, Stephen, you're part of that, helping us to,
Yes.
Get that out. So thank you. We are so grateful to you, and you've interviewed so many of our LRMTs, and we just appreciate you helping us, spread Reiki in the world.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's awesome. Any more thoughts and comments there on the LRMT program? Pretty good. Maybe we could roll into the Reiki Membership Association. You had mentioned there's some changes coming up with the Reiki Membership Association, William?
Well, yeah, they are coming up, but it has to do with the development of our new website, and then, of course, a new iteration of the Membership Association in terms of its the technological support behind it. But actually, it could be a while. We found that the development of our website and the different features is taking longer than what we thought. So it will be happening next year at some point, but probably more toward the middle or maybe the summer or something like that, that we would be able to invite 1 and 2 practitioners to be members. Other than that, we're going to, as professional members, people are able to print their certificates, and we'll have that upgraded to include Holy Fire 3 and, the full range of certificates. And so basically that's it. But like I say, the 1 and 2s won't be probably till the summer.
Okay. And then now there are, as I understand it, there are 3 levels of membership to the Reiki Membership Association. Could you go through those
Yes.
and explain a little bit about that?
Well, the first level would be affiliate, and that's a person who is a Reiki master of any lineage, and they can join, and they would be affiliate members. And all members are listed on our membership list, and so it's quite a interesting place. We get quite a few visits from potential people wanting to receive sessions or take classes, looking at our membership list, and they can contact our members and get, take their classes and so forth. But the affiliates would be the least qualified. They're members, and they agree to use our manuals and our class outlines and so forth, but they haven't really taken classes from any of our licensed teachers. Then at the professional level, those are the teachers who have taken their classes, 1 and 2 in Advanced Master and eventually Karuna, from one of our licensed teachers. And so, of course, the purpose of the membership association is that the members will be teaching the same way that we teach. And so that's best done if they've actually taken classes from our licensed teachers, and that happens at the professional level. And then the licensed teacher level, that's quite a program. It takes the average person 3 years to complete it, 1 year for 1 and 2 to be qualified to teach 1 and 2 as a licensed teacher, another year for ART Master, and the 3rd year for Karuna. And there's a test to take, a paper to write, and also in addition to the new website, I am coming up with a online Reiki class, and it'll be part of our licensed teacher program, but also will be open to virtually anyone who is a Reiki master. So the online class will be for people who already are Reiki masters. So in the online class, there will be no online ignitions or placements that are given because the person already is a Reiki master. But there will be experiences, and of course, there will be a very thorough, in-depth training. And I wanted to do this so that it would be a platform where I could teach everything I know about Reiki. Because in my classes, I have a limited amount of time, and I can only go so deep. But on the online class, it'll basically be everything I know about Reiki. And as I learn more, we're going to be adding to it. So in, say, 50 years, when I leave the planet, I will leave this online class that people can still continue to take classes from. Of course, I'll be up there on the higher dimensional planes overseeing it, energetically.
So somewhere between the 4th and the 12th heaven, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, we've covered a lot here. Any thoughts on anything? Anybody want to share?
Sure. Yeah. One of my students in the last class, this was so amazing to me. It was a Reiki 1 and 2 class. On the way out the door, she said, this has been one of the most powerful experiences of her life. And I thought, this is why I am teaching Reiki. Transformation. I love to see the transformation occur between the start of class and the end of class. I've often thought to take before and after pictures, because you can just see weight melt off of people, lights go on, their eyes start shining, and it's so rewarding. And we're also giving them tools for life, practical tools. And I like to think of Reiki as embodied spirituality. We're not just reading about consciousness and love. We're actually experiencing it, where we get to feel that consciousness. We get to expand our hearts and open ourselves up to more divine love that is so deeply healing and nurturing. And to be able to spread that to other people is so amazing. And also in my counseling practice, I'm also a counselor. I mostly use my Reiki tools because I found that in healing old wounds and trauma, this Holy Fire Reiki heals so much quicker than my traditional counseling tools, that I'm using it to help people in, a couple of sessions, what would normally take me maybe 15 sessions of counseling. So I'm just grateful to William, to him listening to his guidance, for bringing us this amazing tool, practical spirituality.
Beautiful. I love it. Yes. Thank you for being a channel. I have a comment here from the live post I'd like to share. It's from Marcia Jeans. She said, I received the Holy Fire 3 upgrade 4 days ago. The energy feels softer, but much stronger. The clearings were amazing and greatly needed at this time in my life. Thank you, William, for bringing this forward. Yeah, beautiful.
She's one of my students.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Great.
Hello, Canada.
Great.
And I have another comment. This is from Marilee Wentz. She writes, I have loved the level 2 holy fire. I'm curious how to relate the more religious, Jesus, etc., aspect of Holy Fire 3 versus the original Usui Reiki to clients and myself with a more shamanic background. Just trying to understand how the seemingly big change in energetic language and connection.
Well, yeah, I understand that question, and I was sensitive to it myself, and I wondered about, what am I going to do with this? And basically, the comment is that people do have religious trauma. Many people have what we call religious trauma, and that's why they sometimes shy away from something that has any sort of religious connotation to it. And basically what Holy Fire Reiki does is it heals religious trauma. So I'm not saying, many religions are wonderful and a lot of people get benefit from it, but sometimes the idea of original sin, of hell and damnation and punishment and for forever, and that there's a group of beings that are in hell right now receiving the worst punishment they ever could have. I mean, that can be a very negative feeling. And the thing is, Holy Fire Reiki heals religious trauma. And of course, we don't believe any of that negative thing about religion, but it heals religious trauma. And we feel, we mentioned the idea of Jesus, God, and Holy Spirit, not as religious characters or promoting religion, but as Jesus as a spiritual master, and that we're receiving the energy, the pure, unaltered energy directly from God, Jesus, and Holy Spirit, without any of the spin that the various religions have placed on it. So in that way, people can gain an actual experience of the energies without any of the things that they may have felt were negative about religion.
Beautiful.
And now, brothers of the light can be calling on the illumined beings of whatever religion it is that you practice, if you choose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we've gone even higher to the founders of all religions and spiritual paths are promoting this. So, and it goes beyond the religion. So their energies are not religious in any way, and it's coming from the place, the origin of all spiritual experience.
Beautiful.
You guys probably have had the same experience. I had a Hindu student, my December 1st, second class, and she did ask about it, and I said, well, it's not a requirement that you pray to Jesus or anything for this to work. It just works. And she said, okay, fine. I mean, she was just like, and actually she wrote me, she was taking the class because her son is autistic, and she wrote me the next couple of days, and she said that her son, she said, I sent him distant Reiki, and she said that because the school had called because he was acting up, and she said, and it worked great, and she said it was a miracle. So I just wanted to throw that in. I was reluctant to take the Holy Fire. I was happy with what I had, and I didn't really particularly like the name, sorry. But I opened to it, and I'm so glad I did. So it doesn't have anything to do with religion. It really did heal that religious trauma I had.
Beautiful. Now we have a viewer. Well, we have a lot of live viewers here. Dawn Myberg from Pringle Bay, South Africa asks, "Are there any LRMTs in South Africa?"
Not at this time.
Not yet.
Not yet, but we're open to the possibility.
Yes. Colleen Benelli and I are specifically working on seeing what we can do to open the program up to more international students. So we're working together to come up with some proposals for our Team Reiki to make it more accessible, so we can spread the licensed teacher program around the world more easily.
Beautiful.
Also, a lot of the LRMTs would be happy to if you sponsored a class. And so, you know, if you connected with somebody on this program, or somebody, you know, spoke to you that, you know, looking at our website or our Facebook page, and you have other people that would like to take the class, reach out to us. You know, we can come to you and we can do a class with you, and then empower you so you can be a teacher in your area as well.
I'm ready to go. We'll go.
We'll go.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing way. I think all of our teachers are saying that they are ready to go. So if the person in South Africa would like to organize a class, I'm sure one of our teachers would love to go there and teach.
And
so,
we'll travel.
Yeah. So that would be true for anywhere on the planet. If a person wants to get a program started, if they could organize a class, get a group of students together, then we can work with that person to send one of our teachers over there.
Beautiful. Yeah, let's go to South Africa. Now I have another comment. This is more of a question, and I apologize if I mispronounce your name, Tiago. He writes, William often brings up the word Jesus, but not the word Christ. Would perhaps the authentic self be what is called the Christ self?
That would be true. The Christ self, I believe, is a level of consciousness, a very high level, of course, and of course very worthy. And the thing is, what we're learning, though, is that there are levels even beyond that. And so, yeah, the Christ consciousness would definitely be something that people feel that they're connecting with, although they may not always use that word. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Beautiful. Great. You guys have been awesome. Any last thoughts? Anything come to mind that you'd like to share while we've got the live going?
Yeah, we'd like to.
Yeah.
We want to send
Reiki
Reiki to the viewers. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll take a moment and we'll send Holy Fire Reiki. Okay.
Beautiful. I can feel it. Holy cow. That's so amazing. Thank you so much, William, Karen Harrison, Karen Caig, Kathy Milanowski, Joan Mate, Jill Teal, Pam LeBlanc. Sorry, I missed a name. Sorry. Thank you all for being on. Appreciate you taking time out of your beautiful day there in Hawaii on William's compound, and coming on and talking about this amazing, beautiful stuff.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen.
We're so happy
Thank
that
you.
you asked us to be present. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Blessings all. And thank you for our live audience. We had a huge live audience here. Lots of comments. Please, go to the post and answer some of these questions and comments. And thanks for watching. And blessings and namaste.
Namaste.